A warm welcome to all of you and a heartfelt namaste. Thank you all of you for watching our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and your suggestions there. Today we are going to talk about a very beautiful planet in our system, the Atmakaraka. What is the Atmakaraka is something that we need to first talk about. The Atmakaraka is a planet which has progressed the most in the chart. So the question that can arise now is, will the Atmakaraka be the planet which has arisen the most, which has moved the most in a particular sign, any sign, or the last sign? Well, in any sign, we take up the planet, we just put the planets in the order of the degrees that they have traveled. And we see that the planet which has traveled the most in any sign, be it Aries, be it Pisces, be it Aquarius, wherever the planet is, if it has traveled the most degree as compared to the other planets, then we will have to take that into account. Today, we are going to talk about Sun as the Atmakaraka. Sun as the Atmakaraka becomes very strong. Why? Because the Sun is also the representative of the Atma and is the Nesargik or the natural Atmakarak. Before that, let us also see how do we go about delineating what your life path will be, because any Atmakaraka should be able to tell you what your life path is, how it pans out for you. So what is the life path if Sun is your Atmakaraka is needed to be seen. So we now take up the planet, which is the Atmakaraka. Then we plot it in the D9 sign, and we see in which D9 sign is it placed on it. I repeat, we see the sign in which it is placed in the D9. For example, is it placed in the Taurus? Is it placed in Pisces? Is it placed in Virgo? Or is it placed in Scorpio? We need to see all these signs. We are not bothered about the house it is placed in the D9. And finally, we then understand where the soul's path is. We will be able to understand the sign and the planet combining together will give us our soul's path. So today, we are going to make this into a series so that it becomes elaborate. All of us will be able to understand things in deep details. We will start with the Sun in the series. If the Sun is the Atmakaraka, then we all know what Sun talks about. Sun talks about power, because it is the warehouse of power through which our entire solar system exists. And so, if anything, Sun denotes power. Sun denotes, as it is the king. If Sun becomes your Atmakaraka, it talks about favors that you can get from the king or from people in higher authorities. Sun is heat, and it also shows a lot of anger, especially if the Sun is extremely strong in the fire signs. Then there will be a lot of latent anger, or there will be a lot of eagerness to do certain amount of work if this is aspected by a benefit. Sun shows enlightenment, because it is the soul's journey. It is the one that gives light to everybody. So it talks about enlightenment, or the knowledge that takes you towards truth and the universal truth at that. It is because of the Sun, it is because of the power of the Sun, it is because of the force of gravitation of the Sun, the entire solar system is in its place, or we are revolving around the Sun. If the Sun did not have that power on us, we would not be moving together this beautifully. So Sun also shows harmonious nature if it is well aspected by benefits. And Sun also gives us enthusiasm, because it is so hot, because it radiates certain amount of light. It shows a lot of enthusiasm to do things in life. Consequently, it also influences others around 8. And so all these things would also be applicable if sun is in the 9th house, if sun becomes the Atmakaraka, more so. And looking at the position in the 12 Rashis, we can say which way your life is going to be, or which is the direction that you find your life to move on. We find many things, the Brigubindu, the Atmakaraka, all of them should be pointing at the same road. All these roads, all these tools should lead us to the same road. So if we find that if sun for us is in the Mesh Rashi, that is, if sun is in Aries in the D9, then such a person would be creative in a manner that would be able to lead others and make a good place, name and fame for yourself in life. It is possible that sun becomes an Atmakaraka and is posited in the sign of Aries. If the sun is posited in Taurus for a person, then this person would be the one, because Taurus is a sign that talks about upholding family values. It talks about having that knowledge, having that ability to work for the family, with the family. So such a person would be working for the family, upholding the family values, guiding the people in the family, and thus be stickler for tradition and for traditional values. The 3rd house of the natural zodiac, that is Gemini, is the one which talks about friends. It talks about communications. It talks about knowing the value of communication and communicating to grow in life. And it also talks about being a connector with others. So if sun is posited in Gemini in the D9 as Atmakaraka, it gives us all these abilities to connect with others, to communicate well, to communicate with a lot of authority, that people look onto you and you are attractive enough to work in the PR industry also. When sun is in Cancer in the D9 as Atmakara, then it makes you an impact. It gives you an ability to help others, be a part of their happiness and be a part of their sadness, be able to understand the feelings of a person and understand intellect also. But you're also a very strict person. You would always be able to help others, provided they make an effort to help themselves also. If sun is placed in the D9 in the sign of Leo as the Atmakaraka, then these people, we know that Leo is the sign of the lion, the king of the jungle. So they want to be the king of the jungle that they rule. And they're willing to change themselves, adapt themselves to the surroundings so that they're never left behind in the race. They're always up to the mark, always dandy, always well read, always aware of what's going on in the surroundings to make their mark. When we talk about sun as the Atmakaraka in Virgo in the D9, then such people strive hard in life to make themselves immortal. How can one make themselves immortal? Physically, it's not a possibility, but you want to do deeds, you want to create things, you want to work on certain manner, do something for the society at large so that you become immortal. And that is what this sun endeavors to do. When we are talking about the sun in the 7th house of the natural zodiac, that is Libra, when the sun is placed in Libra as the Atmakarak in the D9, then such people are very soft-hearted. Let's not forget that the sun gets debilitated in Libra. So it loses a lot of its, not its strength, but a lot of its cruel aspect to it. So these people are very soft. They are good guides. The 7th house also talks about being is the path that you are in. So you show the path to others, because sun always gives us the heat. Sun shows us the heat. So you show the path to others, but you would not be as strong or come out as forcefully on them. You would let others take their own sweet pace, guide them, and be loving and caring about them. And when we talk about the sun being in the sign of Scorpio, in the D9 as the Atmakarak, then you would have gone through a lot of turbulent experiences in life, or experiences in life which have left a scar on you. But these same scars, if you are able to convert into spiritual learnings, then you would also leave a mark with those very spiritual learnings, and a good mark at that, in other people's life. You would be dynamic enough to work, bring in some refreshment in other people's life, a spiritual growth in other people's life. Because the 8th house does relate to a lot of spirituality. We come to Sagittarius. When the Atmakarak sun is placed in Sagittarius in the D9, that means the person would be very strong in working a lot of their, these people are very strong in trying to understand the truth, because Sagittarius is the sign of truth. Following the path of truth, deciphering and moving towards enlightenment, because sun does give us enlightenment, and it's a fiery sign. So here sun wants you to grow, or rather there's a burning desire within the person to grow in that direction and to shine in that direction. We move on to the sign of Capricorn. The sign of Capricorn, as we all know, is the sign of business. And for a good businessman, the mind is important, having a knowledge, skill is important, and so is luck. So the skill and the luck works beautifully for a person who has sun as Atmakaraka sitting in the sign of Capricorn. And when we talk about the sign of Aquarius, Aquarius is the sign of creativity. Aquarius is a sign of ingenuity, and Aquarius is a sign of growth and change. So these people who have their sun as Atmakaraka placed in the sign of Aquarius are creative geniuses. They have the ability to create so beautiful things that the others tend to copy them, tend to follow their path. And as such, these people have a great fan following, but they also have a lot of people who copy their things. So they should be aware of this part also. And that can create certain amount of unhappiness within them. But that is because they say that people who copy you or imitation is a form of flattery. So please take it like that. And finally, we come to the sun as Atmakaraka placed in Pisces in the D9. When sun is placed as Atmakaraka here, then these people will be very soft spoken. They know how to help others. They've got very big, the foresight is very strong. They can see how things will unfold, and they do not give unsolicited advice. They help others, but at the same time, these people also know when to pull back when things are not working in the manner that they should, when people are not following the right path. To work out certain examples, we take up the case of Neil Donald Walsh, a spiritual leader who went through a lot of turmoil in life because his father was a very arrogant and a very controlling person who would not allow him to follow his heart's desire of becoming a priest, did not want the child to learn music, or was very controlling in certain manners, which left a lot of scars, childhood scars for him. He had a lot of tumultuous relationships, went through very rough, patchy periods in life. As a result of all those experiences, when he finally made peace with himself, he wrote 3 books, and he's known to be a preacher, known to be a guide to many people. His 3 books, which are about conversations with God, friendship with God, all of them have been bestsellers, and he has been a factor to help others come out of certain scars from their life itself. We see that his sun is posited irrespective of the house. Again, I repeat, irrespective of the house, it's the sign that we see. The sun is the Atmakaraka and is posited in the sign of Scorpio. We talk about Charles Dickens. Again, Charles Dickens, we all know, is a classical writer. Years after his passing away, we still remember him as one of the classical writers and we remember him with a lot of reverence at that. And his books are read everywhere. Well, lo behold, look at his placement of sun. The sun for him is placed in the sign of Virgo, where it has made him work towards immortality. Because it is placed with Rahu, it's given a flair in life. It did. There is no stating the fact that he didn't go through his share of turmoil. Rahu didn't make him work hard, but it is the sun that gave him the immortality as the Atmakaraka, made him do deeds, write books that were immortal, made him immortal. The simple fact of taking the chart of Swami Vivekananda. Well, his chart has a Vargottama sun, and that too in the sign of Sagittarius. What more do we need to say except for the fact that Swami Vivekananda is one of the most loved saints across the globe, and his writings and we also have a lot of his voice overs that we can hear on YouTube and other channels, which are worldwide heard by people, and people enumerate his books on Gita, on many other things that he's written. Swami Vivekananda was always on the path of truth, always on the search of truth, and he has left his mark there. Amitabh Bachchan, an Indian well-known personality at that. Well, he has his Atmakarak sun placed squarely in the sign of Leo in the D9. What more to be said except for the fact that he modulates himself, he keeps himself up to date with every trend going on in the world. As a result, he's been able to reign the supreme #1 position for years, for decades now. Vishwanathan Anand, another Indian who was the first person, the first grandmaster in chess from India, and having his sun in Aquarius, his ingenuity, his hard work resulted him being the first in his field, being the best in his field at that time. And now people emulate him, people copy him, people idealize him and follow his path. So we see that the sun as an Atmakaraka in different signs leaves a mark, and what kind of mark? On people. We will be continuing on this series with different planets, so stay tuned on this channel. Till we meet with you again, please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.